I was being moved from one prison to the other. I've been to Kamiti prison. I was taken to Manyani maximum prison. I was taken to Shimo Latewa. I was taken to Kodiaka maximum prison. I was taken to Nakuru. I was taken to Eldoret, Kitale. All large prisons in Kenya.
Now, tell us about the life in prison.
Actually, life in prison is not a holiday camp. Prison in Kenya is a difficult place to be. And it is so bad when you find yourself in a prison and you didn't commit any offense. It is so traumatizing, it is so hurting, it is so devastating finding yourself in a maximum prison. You have been put in between hardcore criminals, thugs, robberies, murderers, rapists, and you are put there inside, in between them. And you know inside your heart, you never committed any offense. To cope up with such a situation is very, very difficult. It has been very hard. You just need God on your side. If you don't have God on your side, definitely you cannot make it. You'll either die, because men have died. Men have died while I'm seeing them. Or maybe you'll end up being one of the worst people again. I used to pray my God. I joined Bible leagues in prisons. I didn't leave my teaching profession behind. I used to gather other prisoners. I teach them the whatever skills I had. And I was also a footballer. When I get some time, I used to go to the field in some good prisons which have field which allow maybe some people to play. I practice to play. But in some prisons, you are just locked inside. You are not even allowed to see the sun. So in these prisons, it depends on the officer in charge who is leading that particular prison. Some of them are practice at least some humanity. But in some prison facilities, life is very difficult. You only see the sun maybe for 10 minutes or 15 minutes. You are locked inside. The kind of meals they offer is not even a meal that a human being can eat. But you just eat and pray God. Because there's nothing you can do. You have been separated completely from your family. But while in prison, to survive, you just need God. If you have God on your side, you can survive. But Kenyan prisons are maybe one of the worst prisons, maybe in the world. One, in those prisons, the kind of number of people that are put in prisons, people are overcrowded. You find that a room, maybe you are supposed to be in that room, maybe 5 people, but you stay there around 50. A room that should accommodate only 5 prisoners. Or maybe a hall that should accommodate 100 people. You find that you are kept inside around 600 of you, and you have to stay, you have to sleep. No mattresses, no blankets, you just sleep on the floor. The water is very dirty, the food is substandard, is half cooked, and even the size of the food that is given, there is something called a ratio. You just have to cope up with whatever you are being given to eat. You just eat that little so that you can maybe reach the other time. So that is the kind of life that I've been going through for all these years. But I managed to survive because God is in your side. You just pray your God and you just feel comfortable. And also when you are in prison, one most difficult thing is the thoughts. Because like me, I had a family. Now you have been separated from your family completely. You don't know where they are. You are their breadwinner. You are in prison. There is no communication. You cannot communicate to them. Getting just a phone maybe to talk to them is very difficult. Or maybe you have been taken to a far place like, for example, Kamiti. Kamiti is in Nairobi. And my family is in Western, Kakamega. So they cannot manage to come in Nairobi even to come and see you. So maybe you can stay even 4 or 5 years. You have not even seen your relative who is coming maybe to come and look for you. So you just survive. You depend on those maybe well-wishers, like maybe preachers who normally come to preach in prison. They bring some little assistance like soaps and tissues. That is what you survive on in prison. I just came to realize that the motive of me being arrested actually was not that I had committed a crime, but it was the piece of land that my father had given me. This stepmother of mine was interested in this particular piece of land that my father had given me, the 5 acres. So he just fixed me up with this particular case so that she could access full gain of this particular piece of land. Of course, that is what she did. Up to the time I'm speaking, she has repossessed that piece of land. She has given that piece of land to his own son. She has even built a very big permanent house in that particular piece of land. So when I was in prison, she made even attempts to try and kill me in prison. She even used to organize some people from village. I cannot mention them because I know them, but they are just prominent people. She could even buy poison. She gives the poison to these particular people. They try to come and sweet talk some of the prison warders to come and poison me in prison so that I could die there. I should not come back and maybe demand for land. But since God was on my side, all this could not succeed. Those particular wardens who are being given this poison to come and poison me, they were my friends. They could come in prison, they tell me, hey, Mwalimu, do you know what? Your family members are trying to kill you. We have been paid maybe to kill you in prison. But those prison warders have trained, they have the knowledge. They say we cannot kill somebody whom we are getting salary because of you. Our children are going to school because of you. So how can we again be made killers? We cannot kill you. We are here to protect you. We are not here to kill you. We cannot harm you. But they could just give me full information of what these particular people, the stepmother of mine was doing. So that is how I managed to survive. Nobody killed me. Nobody poisoned me. But they really tried hard. But they didn't manage because actually I got the protection maybe from God. That's what I can say.
For how many years have you been in prison?
I've been in prison this year for 17 years. 17 good years in prison. I've survived in prison for 17 years.
How did your release come about?
Just as I said, in prison I didn't agree to sleep actually, and I didn't agree maybe my mind to get poisoned because I was somebody who had gone to school. I decided again maybe just to still focus and have hope of maybe one day seeing my freedom again. So I decided to look for some good company of other prisoners who had also families, or maybe who had still that eager to have their freedom. We enjoyed together. We were around 88 prisoners from different prison facilities. We tried to look for some funds from just well-wishers and donors. They supported us, they gave us lawyers, so we petitioned the Supreme Court in 2015. We petitioned the Supreme Court to remove this particular life sentence and death sentence, to make it illegal. That was the very, very first case to be taken in Supreme Court by prisoners. And actually the case went through in the year 2017. Justice Maraga gave an order on the same, that a death sentence is illegal. And also life sentence is not mandatory. So we people who had been sentenced to death, and then the life sentence, then the death sentence had been commuted to life sentence, we had to go back to the High Court. He gave us orders that if you are serving life sentence or a death sentence, you are free to again reappeal back to the High Court, so that a High Court can look for at least a term of years to give you, so that you can have a hope of again rejoining your family after finishing this particular sentence that the High Court will give you. So they did not give a maximum of how many years a court or a High Court judge should sentence you, But then the justice just left it at the mercy of the High Court judges to decide whichever sentence he can give you. So like in my case, when I petitioned my High Court in Kakamega, I was before Justice Musyoka. That was in 2018 is when I petitioned High Court in Kakamega. That was called, the petition was being called resentencing. So when I lodged my resentencing in 2018 in Kakamega, it was determined in the year 2020 under Justice Musyoka sentenced me to 20 years. Some people are being sentenced to 25, others 30, others 40, but I was sentenced to 20 years. And now these 20 years, it was now the duty of the prison now to try and assess the conduct, your conduct in prison, so that they give you what we call a remission. They at least deduct some few years from that particular sentence. So when the calculation was made by my prison, the prison that I was in, they looked at my conduct, my record. I was clean. Had even been promoted to a special stage prisoner. So I was given some little remission of around 3 years. So my sentence now was to end in 2023. That is in July at the end. So from 2020, I was now serving 20 years, of which the 20 years were now expiring in the year 2023, July at the end. So when it came to 31st July at the end, that is when I was released from prison. That is now, I was back in Kibos Medium Prison. That is where I was released from in July 31st, 2023.
After the release, how did your family receive you?
Now it was a little bit challenging because for the 17 years, actually my family was not in one place. 2, I had 2 families, let me say 2. My father's side, where I was arrested from, and my mother's side, and my uncle's side. So with my uncles, they're the ones who received me, because on my father's side, my father had passed away, my piece of land had been taken, so I could not really go back directly because I didn't have a place to go. Actually, I didn't have a place to go. I didn't have a place to call a house. I didn't have a place to call a home. And I didn't know where my wife was. I didn't even know where my children were. So I had to go back to my uncle's place because that is where I was born. They received me well. The reception was good. And after some time, some 1 or 2 weeks, I decided to go to my father's side. That is the community. That is the Abatali community, to seek the advice, to see what they can be able to do for me. And I was happy because the reception was very good. That community, that Abatali community of my father, they received me very well. They called several meetings. And in fact, in those meetings, people attended there were thousands and thousands of people who attended those meetings. They welcomed us. They had their own version of the events. In fact, they made a ruling of the same. They also discovered that we were very innocent. They told everybody we were very innocent. We didn't commit any crime. That is what they said, and that is what they discovered. And they, with their own saying, they even said that they tried to make a follow-up to see whether they can get us out of prison, but they didn't know the law. They didn't know where to go. But they were very happy to see us out. So the community decided and made rulings that we should be given back our land and we should be resettled. Just the 3 of us who had just come from prison. That is their verdict.
Now, about life in prison, how did it change your perspective about life in general?
You see, like, actually, if you have never stepped in prison, then you cannot really know what your country is like. Life in prison is not normal life. It can either make you to be a good citizen, or it can make you to be a very bad citizen. And it depends on an individual. But on my side, I think it made me to be even more stronger than what I used to be. Because I've met a lot, I have seen a lot, I've gone through so many hardships. But the way I have survived, it made me even be more stronger and be more focused. But one thing that the prison taught me is he taught me to forgive. That is one good thing that the prison taught me. It taught me to forgive. So those people who did all this, who framed me with this particular case, I learned to forgive, and I've forgiven them. I have no grudge with them. I have no worry with them. There is nothing I can do. I've just left them to God. Mine, I'm just waiting. I be given back my land. I resettle my family, and then I move on. But I've just forgiven them completely. That one is just a lesson that I learned from the prison. Learn to forgive. Because if you learn to revenge, then you will not definitely survive. That is what I learned. So the prison, with the teachings that I got there and the encouragements that I got there from friends, from prison warders, from preachers who normally come there, I learned to forgive. I've forgiven those people. Completely I've forgiven them. What I'm just looking forward is to get back my piece of land, to resettle my family, because I had a wife, I had children. So that is what I learned from prison, actually.
What requests will you like to make to the people who know you, or the people will be touched by your story, who may wish maybe to give a hand of help or something? So what requests can you give to them?
Maybe for those who will be viewing this, my story, I had a lot of friends. This is the same Leonard Lumbasi you used to know. I've not changed, but I've just tried to show you what I've gone through. It is a life that I never expected that one day maybe I can go through such a life. Imagine a whole graduate spending 17 years in prison without committing any offense. I've come out, I totally have nothing. I have children. My wife, we departed ways. I don't know if she'll have to come back because she decided to move on, because she could not really persevere waiting for me. Now I have so many challenges. I have children. One has just done Form 4. She did Form 4 when there was Corona. She did it with a lot of challenges, but she managed to score a C-. She's just staying with the uncles. I have a second girl. She passed with 379 marks. She was called in a national school called St. Mary's Igochi in Meru. She never managed to join. She was again called at Bishop Njenga. My uncles took her there. She learned in Bishop Njenga for only 2 semesters. She was sent away for school fees. She could not manage. Now she just went to a local school where she is learning. So it is very, very difficult. Now this year is 2023. My last born girl, whom I was arrested when she had not been born, her mother was still pregnant with that girl. She just did class 8. She emerged a leading candidate in a school called Chekulo Primary School. She got 388 marks. 388 marks, and I don't have any job, I don't have anything, I don't have any way forward, the way I can be able to assist her to take her to school. She has also been called in St. Mary's National School in Igochi, the same Meru school. So it is very, very difficult. She's just staying with the uncles. I can't afford anything. It's when I've just come from prison. So actually, maybe to friends who know me, relatives, and just well-wishers, or maybe who will come across this particular story, if you can be able to give any hand in any way, I'll really appreciate. Whether you assist my children go to school, or whether you assist me, because I'm capable of doing any job. I can work in any institution, any farm, any school. I can be able to teach. I can be able to manage any farm, to run any institution. Because in prison I just didn't go there to stay. I still practiced my skills, and I'm still very strong. I'm still able to work and do anything. So I just need somebody who can support me totally, and maybe support also my family. I'll really appreciate.